Most men believe that attraction begins when a woman shows interest first. They think chasing starts only after she smiles, texts back fast, or gives a clear sign. But the truth is far more uncomfortable and far more powerful. The strongest form of attraction does not begin with interest. It begins with absence. It begins when nothing is obvious, when nothing is given, and when the man does not react the way she expects. Here's what no one tells you. A woman doesn't chase because she likes you. She chases because her emotional certainty is broken. When a woman isn't interested, most men panic. They try harder. They talk more. They explain themselves. They offer attention as if attention were currency. And every time they do that, her mind relaxes. And once her mind relaxes, attraction dies. Stoicism teaches something radically different. It teaches that control over yourself creates curiosity in others. And curiosity is the gateway to desire. Think about this carefully. Have you ever noticed how a woman becomes more alert, more observant, more emotionally invested around a man who doesn't try to impress her? A man who doesn't rush? A man who doesn't seek validation from her reactions? That reaction is not coincidence. It's psychology. When a woman feels emotionally safe too quickly, her nervous system shuts down attraction. But when she feels uncertainty paired with emotional calm, her mind starts working overtime. She begins to wonder. She begins to project. She begins to chase answers she was never given. This is where most men fail. They believe attraction is built by doing more. In reality, attraction is built when your presence creates a gap she wants to close. Stoicism doesn't teach manipulation. It teaches self-command. And self-calm is deeply unsettling to people who are used to emotional predictability. When you stop trying to convince a woman to like you, something strange happens. Her mind begins trying to convince itself. She starts replaying interactions. She starts questioning why you didn't react, why you didn't push, why you didn't seek reassurance. And the moment a woman starts thinking about you in your absence, the chase has already begun. This video is not about tricks, it's not about lines, and it's not about pretending to be someone you're not. This is about understanding the stoic dynamics of attraction, the emotional laws that operate whether you believe in them or not. By the end of this video, you will understand why interest is not the starting point of attraction, why emotional restraint is more powerful than emotional availability, and how to make a woman chase without chasing her at all. If you've ever wondered why some men are pursued effortlessly while others are ignored despite trying everything, stay with me because once you see this clearly, you will never approach attraction the same way again. Before we start, a quick reminder. The real transformation doesn't happen on YouTube, it happens inside the community. If these videos have opened your eyes, what's inside will rebuild your mindset completely. It's not just a course, it's a brotherhood. A private space where men master attraction, emotional control, and the psychology of power. You don't join for a month, you join for life. Every future course, book, and lesson is yours forever. No subscriptions, no limits. Just one decision that changes your direction. If you're serious about growth, discipline, and purpose, click the link below. Join the community. Enroll once. Grow forever. Let's dive in. Section number 1. Why chasing never creates attraction. Most men believe attraction is something they must actively create by effort, consistency, and emotional availability. But this belief is precisely what destroys their chances before anything even begins. When a man chases, he unknowingly communicates urgency. And urgency signals emotional dependence, not value. A woman may enjoy attention, but she does not chase what is already running toward her. The moment you start trying to win her interest, you position yourself as someone seeking approval rather than someone grounded in self-command, and the dynamic silently shifts against you. From a stoic perspective, attraction does not respond to need. It responds to self-possession. A man who is centered, calm, and unmoved by outcomes creates psychological tension without saying a word. When you chase, you resolve that tension too quickly. You remove mystery. You remove uncertainty. And without uncertainty, her emotional system has nothing to engage with. She may like you as a person. She may even enjoy your presence. But the instinct to pursue never activates because there is no emotional gap to close. Here is the crucial point most men miss. A woman does not chase what feels emotionally predictable. When your actions clearly signal interest, availability, and expectation, her mind categorizes you as safe, known, and emotionally settled. Safety is important for relationships, but safety without curiosity kills attraction at the very beginning. Stoicism teaches restraint not as coldness, but as discipline. And discipline creates intrigue because it shows you are not governed by impulse or external validation. When a man is not interested in convincing a woman to like him, he creates a powerful reversal. Instead of asking, "How do I impress her?" his presence silently asks, "Why doesn't he need my reaction?" That question is dangerous in the best way. It forces her attention inward. It triggers self-evaluation. And once a woman starts evaluating herself in relation to you, emotional investment has already begun forming beneath the surface. This is why trying harder never works. The more you explain yourself, pursue clarity, or seek reassurance, the more you collapse the emotional space where attraction lives. A Stoic man understands that attraction grows in silence, not in persuasion. He allows interest to reveal itself instead of chasing it into existence. And paradoxically, this calm refusal to chase often becomes the very reason she starts moving toward him. Attraction is not about making a woman feel wanted. It is about making her feel emotionally engaged without certainty. When you stop chasing, you do not lose power. You gain it, because power in attraction comes from emotional independence. The moment she senses that you are complete with or without her response, her instincts begin to lean in, not because you asked her to, but because her mind cannot ignore what it cannot control. Section number 2. The moment her interest begins without you doing anything. Attraction often begins at the exact moment a woman realizes she cannot read you emotionally. Most men believe clarity is attractive, so they rush to explain their intentions, their feelings, and their expectations. But clarity too early removes tension. A Stoic man understands that emotional ambiguity, when paired with calm confidence, creates curiosity that the mind cannot ignore. When you are present, engaged, yet not emotionally exposed, her subconscious begins searching for meaning where none was handed to her. This is where the chase quietly starts. Not because you changed your behavior to impress her, but because you stopped performing for her approval. When a woman senses that your emotional state does not rise or fall based on her reactions, her attention sharpens. She becomes more observant, more sensitive to your tone, your timing, your pauses. Silence becomes louder than words, and restraint becomes more attractive than effort. The human mind dislikes unresolved patterns. When a woman cannot quickly categorize you as needy, indifferent, or predictable, she feels a subtle internal tension. This tension is not anxiety, it is engagement. Her thoughts begin returning to the interaction long after it ends, not because you said something remarkable, but because you didn't give her emotional closure. Stoicism teaches that control over the self creates influence over the environment, and in attraction, that influence operates quietly, almost invisibly. This is why reacting less creates more interest. When you do not chase validation, you send a signal of emotional self-sufficiency. You are not withdrawing to punish her, and you are not leaning in to please her. You are simply steady. That steadiness forces her mind to work harder to understand you, and effort invested mentally often precedes emotional attachment. A woman begins to chase when she senses that access to you is not automatic, not because you are cold, but because you are selective with your emotional energy. This selectivity communicates value without words. It tells her that your attention is earned through alignment, not demanded through persistence. And when attention feels earned, it becomes desirable. This is the paradox most men never grasp. Doing less does not make you less attractive. It removes the noise that blocks attraction from forming naturally. When your presence feels grounded and unforced, her curiosity activates on its own. She may not consciously decide to pursue you, but she will feel an internal pull she cannot logically explain. And that pull is the foundation of the chase. The moment she starts wondering what you are thinking, why you didn't react, or whether she left an impression on you, The dynamic has already shifted. You did not move toward her. Her mind moved toward you. Section number 3, why emotional self-control makes her pursue you. A woman does not chase a man because he is emotionally expressive. She chases the man who is emotionally regulated. Emotional self-control signals something deeper than confidence. It signals inner order. From a Stoic standpoint, a man who governs his impulses demonstrates mastery over himself. And mastery is instinctively respected before it is desired. When your emotions are steady, your reactions measured, and your presence calm, you create an emotional environment that feels rare in a world dominated by neediness and overreaction. Most men unknowingly disqualify themselves by reacting too quickly. They text back immediately. They over-explain their intentions. They seek reassurance when silence appears. And each reaction communicates that their emotional state depends on the woman's response. Dependency dissolves attraction. A Stoic man understands that his peace is non-negotiable. He does not rush to fill silence or repair tension because he is not afraid of losing attention. This lack of fear is felt immediately, even if it is never spoken. When a woman senses that your emotional center does not orbit around her approval, something subtle changes in her behavior. She begins testing. She may delay replies, shift energy, or subtly withdraw to see if your composure breaks. These tests are not games. They are instinctive checks for emotional strength. When you remain calm, unchanged, and self-possessed, her subconscious registers you as a man of stability, not because you demanded respect, but because you embodied it. Stoicism teaches that power comes from focusing on what you control and releasing what you do not. In attraction, this principle is transformative. When you let go of the need to influence her feelings directly, you paradoxically influence them more. Your restraint becomes a mirror that reflects her own emotional uncertainty back to her. She begins to feel what you are not showing, and that imbalance pulls her forward. This is why emotional control creates pursuit. You are not chasing her emotions, so she becomes aware of her own. You are not asking for attention, so she begins offering it. The chase is not loud or dramatic, it is quiet and internal. She starts to lean in, not because you pulled her, but because your stillness created space for her emotions to move. The man who controls his reactions controls the pace of attraction. He does not escalate prematurely, and he does not collapse under silence. He allows time to do the work that force never could. And when a woman realizes that your emotional presence is not easily shaken, her instincts respond with interest, respect, and pursuit, often before she consciously understands why. Section number 4, the shift where she starts showing it without realizing. There is a moment in every attraction dynamic where interest stops being internal and starts leaking into behavior. Most men miss this moment because they are too focused on chasing signals instead of understanding why signals appear in the first place. When you remain emotionally composed, unreactive, and self-directed, a woman's subconscious begins searching for confirmation that she still has emotional influence over you. And when she cannot find it, her behavior changes in small but revealing ways. She starts initiating contact under neutral excuses. She asks questions that have no real purpose other than reopening the connection. She references past conversations to see if they still hold emotional weight for you. These are not conscious strategies. They are instinctive attempts to restore emotional certainty. When a woman feels unsure about where she stands with a man who remains calm and unaffected, her nervous system pushes her to re-engage. This is where Stoicism becomes visible power. You do not rush to interpret her actions, and you do not reward every reach with emotional enthusiasm. You stay grounded, responsive, but not reactive, present, but not eager. This balance is crucial. When you stay centered, her efforts increase because the emotional gap remains unresolved. She is not chasing attention. She is chasing emotional clarity. Most men destroy this phase by overcorrecting. The moment she shows interest, they surge forward, flooding her with validation and collapsing the tension that made her pursue in the first place. A Stoic man understands restraint at the peak is more important than restraint at the beginning. He allows interest to build naturally instead of trying to secure it prematurely. As her engagement grows, she becomes more emotionally expressive. Her tone softens. Her questions become personal. She reacts more strongly to small shifts in your availability. These changes signal that her emotional investment is increasing, even if she would never admit it. And the reason this happens is simple. Your emotional stability forced her to do the emotional work. The chase is not loud. It does not look like obsession or desperation. It looks like increased attention, subtle effort, and emotional openness. And it only happens when a man refuses to abandon his center for approval. Stoicism teaches that influence grows when you stop reaching for outcomes and focus on maintaining inner order. In attraction, that inner order becomes the gravity that pulls others toward you. When she starts adjusting her behavior to maintain connection while you remain unchanged, the dynamic has already reversed. You did not chase her interest. You created the conditions where her interest had to move. Section number 5, the mistake that kills the chase, the moment it begins. The most dangerous moment in attraction is not when a woman shows no interest, but when she finally does. This is where most men fail without realizing it. The moment they sense pursuit, they relax their discipline and rush to secure the outcome. They assume the work is done, but in reality, attraction is most fragile at the point of emergence. Stoicism teaches that true strength is tested when success appears, not when resistance exists. When a woman begins chasing, her emotional system is still in motion. She is exploring, not committing. She is feeling, not deciding. If you suddenly flood her with availability, emotional intensity, or reassurance, you collapse the very tension that made her move toward you. What felt exciting and uncertain becomes resolved and predictability halts pursuit. This is why restraint must continue even after interest appears. A stoic man does not overreact to positive signals any more than he reacts to silence. His emotional posture remains unchanged. He does not withdraw affection to manipulate, but he also does not overextend to secure validation. This balance communicates that his center is stable regardless of her behavior. Most men misinterpret interest as permission to abandon composure. They speed up communication, increase emotional disclosure, and shift their focus entirely toward her. These changes are immediately felt. Her subconscious registers the shift as loss of polarity. The man who was once grounded now feels emotionally invested in an outcome, and the chase quietly reverses again. Stoicism teaches patience over urgency. Attraction unfolds naturally when you allow time to do its work. When you remain steady, her pursuit deepens because it feels earned, not handed to her. She begins investing not because she is being pulled, but because she is choosing to move closer. The key here is emotional consistency. Your calm should not depend on her interest. Your presence should not expand or shrink based on her behavior. When a woman senses that your self-respect is intact, even when she leans in, her trust grows alongside attraction. She feels safe pursuing because she is not being engulfed by need or pressure. The chase survives only when the man remains himself. The moment you abandon your center to secure her attention, the dynamic collapses. But when you stay composed, grounded, and self-directed, her interest has space to mature into something deeper and more stable. Section number 6, how stoic independence makes the chase last. What ultimately determines whether a woman continues chasing is not how attractive you appear, but how independent your identity remains. Attraction weakens the moment a man allows a woman's interest to become the center of his emotional world. Stoicism teaches that a man must build his life around purpose, discipline, and self-mastery, not around external validation. When a woman senses that she is not your emotional axis, she feels drawn to you rather than responsible for you. Independence is felt in subtle ways. It is reflected in how you prioritize your time, how you speak about your life, and how you maintain momentum regardless of who enters it. A stoic man does not rearrange his identity to accommodate attention. He invites connection into a life that already has direction. This communicates abundance not in options, but in self-sufficiency. When a woman chases a man like this, she feels challenged in a way that is deeply engaging. She cannot dominate his emotional state, and she cannot destabilize his peace. This does not make her feel rejected. It makes her feel curious. She invests emotionally because she senses that closeness must be earned through alignment, not through expectation. Most men mistake independence for distance, but true independence is presence without attachment. You are there engaged, attentive, but not dependent. This balance creates longevity in attraction because it prevents emotional saturation. The chase continues because the emotional space remains alive. Stoicism teaches that the highest form of power is self-command. What began as curiosity transforms into pursuit, and what began as pursuit transforms into attachment built on respect. This is the Stoic truth most men never learn. You do not make a woman chase by trying to be desired. You make her chase by becoming a man who does not need to be chased to feel whole. In short, attraction has never been about convincing, proving, or chasing. It has always been about who you are when nothing is guaranteed. The men who are pursued are not the ones who work the hardest to be liked, but the ones who remain grounded when interest is uncertain. Stoicism teaches that your power does not come from controlling others, but from controlling yourself. And in attraction, this principle changes everything. When you stop chasing outcomes, you stop leaking energy. When you stop reacting to every signal, you reclaim emotional authority. And when your emotional state no longer depends on whether a woman is interested or indifferent, her perception of you shifts in ways she cannot logically explain. You become rare, not because you withdrew, but because you remained whole. A woman does not chase because you impressed her. She chases because your presence created a space she wanted to move into. You did not rush to fill silence, and you did not beg for clarity. You allowed uncertainty to exist without discomfort. And that calm is deeply attractive in a world addicted to emotional noise. Stoicism is not about playing games or withholding emotion to manipulate behavior. It is about discipline, restraint, and self-respect. When you embody these traits, attraction becomes a response, not a goal. The chase happens naturally because your emotional independence forces others to meet you at your level. If there is one truth to remember, it is this: the moment you stop needing a woman to validate you is the moment her instincts begin testing how close she can get without losing you. And when she realizes that your peace does not bend to her reactions, her interest deepens, not fades. Do not chase attention, do not perform for approval, and do not abandon your center for temporary desire. Build a life, a mindset, and a presence that stands on its own. When you do, attraction stops being something you seek and becomes something that follows. That is the Stoic way. Remember, knowledge means nothing without action. If you're ready to rise above emotion and lead with purpose, join the community today at the link below. Enroll once, grow forever.